All right, live, 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 live. We are live, live, live. L to the I to the B to the E. We are live on Friday. So how is everybody doing? And first, of course, I'm gonna do the best introduction on the face of this earth. If you smell, people are saying like LA Knight is ripping off the rock, but Rick the Rich Man, Richie Rich is ripping off the rock sister, dawn of time. So like, hope everyone's doing well. Shit, man, Richie Rich, Rick Juan, Ricky Ricardo. I'm gonna go this way. Pretty Ricky. What they call him back at it again for another retrospective review. Just giving applause for that. You people look so nice. Yeah, lovely audience today. You look so great. You look so great. So guys, hope you're loving the new headphones. I made sure I got it for this live because, as I said, it's I have a good amigo guy who's been on my channel many times. Shout out to GQ. He definitely said to do more lives and just getting used to doing. Because what happened was I was actually doing lives like since the 2020, that worst year. I remember doing lives and I stopped for a time because I was balancing my editing videos and seeing how I can push this channel even more. So it really does feel like now I'm settled, I'm in peace, I'm in Canada. It's the perfect time to get back on this train and jump back on this life. So it's an excellent time. So guys, without much further ado, on this episode of my movie and TV reviews, and before I even get onto this, if you haven't already, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I got a whole collection of movie reviews from back in the day. We got Hang with Cooper. We got recently at the Jamie Foxx show. I got movies that I did from like Malcolm X to New Jack City to Passenger 57. So all of these in a playlist. You can just click this link here and you can check out my other movie reviews. And as I said before, I just save it for the end, but I'm going to say it now. If you do have any like requests, obviously get in contact with me because how am I going to be able to do these reviews if you don't say anything? Honestly, man, you could just I'm gonna get my phone up. You can just like IG me, you can DM me and just say, Richard, please, I really like our lead and Will Smith was in. Please do a review of this. I'll be like, say nothing. I'm like one of our guys. Say nothing. I'll get on that. ASAP Rocky. You know what I mean? But all serious, yeah, definitely. If you don't want it to request, because again, I'm loving doing these lives, definitely get in contact with me. But yes, on this episode, folks, this is the one I'm going to be taking a look at this week is the Steve Harvey show that came out from 1996 to 2002. Lasted 6 seasons, was on the WB network, and producers were Stan Lathan, Winfred Harvey. I'm reading off Google. Can you blame me? And also Steve Harvey was a producer of this show as well. So just like always, I'll give you like my history with the Steve Harvey show. So as a lot of you people know, I was not born in Canada or the West side of the world. I'm originally from like United Kingdom. So all these sitcoms, like I mentioned, like the Steve Harvey Show, like Jamie Foxx Show, the Gladys Knight Show, Morning, not Fresh Prince, Living Single. We didn't have BET like in the 2000s in Muriel, England. So they had a separate channel that was called Trouble, and most of the urban like type of sitcoms would play on this channel as well. So I just like the Jamie Foxx show on Wayne Brothers, Steve Harvey show was a series that was shown from the end around the time when it came out. It was transferred to UK and it was transferred. It was shown on UK television from the moment it was out. So I have very fond memories of seeing Steve with the classic high top, and he's got these lavish suits from red to yellow to purple. And I remember seeing him and Cedric. That was the first time I ever saw like Cedric the Entertainer, and then saw him really going the realms of success after. But This is a show that was always on, and I always thought the show was a very good series. I felt it was very great because it blended in the music, which was more of that jazz side. So it wasn't like as hip hop as the same more in the Fresh Prince. This was more that soul jazz type of music that was seen in this series, and I think it was well, and it had this series had like the vibes of Hanging with Mr. Cooper because in Hanging with Mr. Cooper, similar Mark Curry in that works as a he's a substitute teacher in the beginning, and I believe as I remember, becomes he has more of like a permanent fixed role. So it's that school vibes of like a teacher who's in some ways like a mentor kind of flash like parental figure as well. So I got a lot of vibes from this watching Steve Harvey show of like from Hungary to Cooper as well. And it's one of the few seasons, one of the few series from the 90s and even 2000s that actually went 6 seasons. Not most of the ones uh, again, any new sitcom, especially with new premise and especially new characters, it's very difficult for it to get picked on people for one season. But I was able to get like 6 seasons, so it was pretty popular. And even if I check the ratings, okay, so 6 seasons. First one aired in August this time, like August 29, 1996. And let's see if we can see the ratings. So yeah, ratings we got first season got 2.7. Second season got 3.4, which at that time is pretty good. The first season got 4.1, and the fourth season got 2.2. In the 2000, fifth season got 2.1, and the last season they ended with the sixth season got 3.0. So for in the 90s, especially without the advent of these social media, where people had to watch these television to watch these shows, it's pretty good as well. And yeah, it was just it was really cool because what I really loved with this was as I said, I'm someone who's a big fan of Def Comedy Jam series, so it was really cool seeing someone who was a stand-up comic getting his own series, and it's most importantly he paired with Def Comedy Jam because the only other ones that really got it from who was on Def Comedy Jam and got their shows at this time was I think it was only Mark Curry and Martin who were they were the series front runner because Sinbad had his show, but he never was on Def Comedy Jam. Um, trying to, I think the only ones. If there is another one, please put it down in the comments. Maybe I'll remember and make a separate video about that. But yeah, it was because again, Bernie Mac got his series later. I think the Hewleys came out just after the show in 1998. Yeah, but other than that, it wasn't too many of the Def Comedy Jam stand-up comedians who got their shows around this time. So it was really cool seeing him to different places. And as I'll talk more later, the two, you can say the two main characters from this, Steve Harvey and Cedric, they really benefit from the series a lot because both went in different directions. Cedric went more towards movies and like you could even say movies with A-list actors would be cool, which I'm most going to be watching today. And he had his own movie, Johnson Family Vacation, Barbershop, of course, Eddie, and then Steve Harvey went in this route of like yeah, this game show. This game show became more like a businessman after this series. But I'm gonna talk more about that. So okay, so let's start on the main premise of the Steve Harvey show. So. Okay, let me get some water. All right. So, so if we check the synopsis, it says Steve Hightower. So Steve much like a lot of the other sitcoms like Fresh Prince, Morning, Hanging with the Cooper, many of them are pretty much playing just extensions of themselves, just put into that environment. So he's called Steve Hightower in this, but he's basically just playing himself. It's the same way Will was playing Will Smith in Fresh Prince, Martin Lawrence playing Martin Payne, then you got Mark Curry playing Mark Cooper. So it's just that, but just a different environment that's tailored to more Steve Harvey's likeness as well. So here it says synopsis says Steve Hightower, Steve Harvey is a 1970s funk legend and a very successful music star with his musical group, who is now a music teacher, vice principal at Booker T. Washington High School. So the, the Booker T. High, the Booker T. High, the Booker T. Booker T. Booker T. The high school is based on Chicago. So saying that this is based in Chi-town, the windy city. Ooh, it's very windy in this time of the 90s as well. So that's what the main setting is. And it also says the budget cutbacks, so they had financial situation in high school, meant that Steve also had to teach drama and art, much to his surprise. And Cedric Robinson, Cedric the entertainer, is a coach at the high school. So Cedric works in the PE, you could say, department, and Steve, he's teaching music, but he's also teaching drama and art. He's a teacher of many talents, you could say, and which is great for him, a better paycheck. And the principal of Booker T. Washington High is Steve's former classmate, Regina Gray, played by Wendy Raquel Robinson, who Steve affectionately calls Picky because she was overweight in childhood. Yes, yes, yes. So I think with just like you could see other sitcoms at this time, like, because Martin was, I believe Martin was in the fifth season, no, sorry, fourth season, when this was just starting. Yeah, so fourth going towards the fifth season, and I've mentioned many times like the great chemistry between Martin and Pam, and again how the series was always great, but just that rivalry. You can check on YouTube where people have just cut their scenes together because that amazing chemistry. In this one, I feel like you'd have that, but it's more of a kind of love hate relationship between Steve and Regina, played by Wendy Raquel Robinson. Oh, because what it is Regina and Steve were actually classmates, but they never show this, never show a flashback of this back in the day when they were both attendants of the school, but it's told through the conversations that Steve and other ones in the class always used to take the Mickey, always used to tease her because of her weight at that time. So when you're introduced to Regina, Wendy Raquel Robinson, and you see her, she's fine, she's like in great shape, and she has this kind of motive, like she wants to take revenge for all of those traumatic moments where she got teased, but she still has a fondness for Steve, but she doesn't really make it evident to him. So it's a real kind of cool back and forth between them, and I think they have awesome chemistry together. So after them, so you could say Steve and Regina are pretty much the front runners of of this series as well. After that, the next two you could say, because I'm not really going to call them supporting characters because they're pretty much in every episode. So you have Cedric, as I talked about, he's working in the coach, he's working in the P department. Behind the scenes, Steve and Cedric have been amigos, have been friends for almost 30 years to now. They when he actually started in comedy, because it's been known that Steve Harvey he got into, like, you could say, the show business actually quite late, similar to like even Bernie Mac. They didn't break through as early as some of like other comedians, maybe like a Chris Rock or I would say Dave Chappelle, but he became more bigger later. But he got his start like when he was in those early ranks, and he was like going from city to city, like developing his craft, doing clubs, going around the states to do his comedy shows. Cedric was one of those comedians who was with him, also like on the hustle, on the grind, trying to make this move into like a network television or movies as they did, and they have a great relationship, and you can see it honestly on you can see it on the screen. You can see it even when I've seen it when Steve Harvey's like new show has where he does he has the talk show and he also has the game show, and I see Cedric come on and they talk about like how great their relationship is even to this day as well. So it's all projected in this show as well. So Cedric's so Oh man. And as I said, we're 50 minutes in. Do me a favor as well. I'm gonna take a little break because I'm I'm gonna about a minute. Definitely like, comment, share, subscribe. Also as well, I have a TikTok now that it's starting to go up. It's starting to go up. What I'm trying to do as well is now with a lot of my videos now, I'm trying to for now because I got time. We're in the summer now. I'm gonna be cutting these videos into shorts and putting them onto TikTok. So be on the lookout for videos on TikTok or even on YouTube Shorts. Keep on sharing the videos. Really appreciate that. And as I said, on social media, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on that Instagram as well. We'll be back right after these messages. Like, no, this time. So, okay, I'm back. Okay. All right. So, Terry J. Vaughan. If you don't know Terry J. Vaughan, that is that fine Nubian black sister. That tall. She has like a model face. She plays Loretta. It's Loretta, isn't it? Let me double check it. Lavida. Lavida. Oh no, he didn't. He plays. She plays Lavida, who was that like nice, like cool, smoking, fine girl, and she's basically the HR. She's like in the admin department and the principal. So as I said, Regina is the principal in this. Stephen Cedric are both the teachers, and Terry J. Bones' character, Lovita, she's basically in the HR department. Our roles are basically if there's any like information that needs to go into students, the students need to get contacted for information. She's in that department organization. And again, this was the first time I saw her was here because I didn't watch Don't Be a Minister. I didn't get to see Don't Be a Minister until much after even Scary Movie and after the Waynesboro series ended. So that incredible scene that she has with Marlon Williams with her, she's about to get down to Marlon, and she turns into like that exorcist, and her tongue goes and then Marlon starts to run away. And honestly, Marlon's performance in that, he should get an Oscar because man, I could honestly imagine me being in that scene of like, hey, you got this fine Nubian sister, and then all of a sudden she's possessed, and she's got a tongue, her head is turning around, and you're just trying to make it escape. And the worst thing is, when Marlon tries to escape out there, because they're in like the backseat of the van, when he's trying to escape, yeah, she brings him back and it's like, no, nigga, we ain't over yet. Ooh, man, I know some guys would have enjoyed it. To have it to do it with which I don't know, it's getting quite hot in there. I don't know, but yeah. So she does great. She really fits in with the ensemble of them because, as I'm sure, and I'll check it. I believe, yeah, yeah. So from the first to the last seasons, all four of them appear pretty much in each episode as well. And it's like you have episodes that centrally focus on, of course, Steve, the front runner, but then you have episodes that focus on even Regina, all the four of these characters as well. So it was a great way of balancing it and making sure that it just wasn't always, even though Steve Harvey's show, it just wasn't completely primarily focused on him. It spread it out to Regina, to Seth, as Vida calls him, and to Terry J. Vaughan playing the Vida. So it's great. So you could say those four are the primarily main characters. Beneath that would be the supporting characters. So let's say in order, you could go from, if we start off with William Lee Scott, who played Bullethead, Stanley Bullethead Koshnowski, and you got Merlin Santana, who played Romeo. So this was Romeo and Bullethead as well. So it's funny because I always remember anytime, because when they used to show Stevie Harvey show in UK, I remember it was like it was either just after Wayne's Brother show. So this would have been like I think this was maybe like 5 or 6. I remember getting back from school and this would be on Trouble, and it was always. I remember any time I would go on, put the TV on, go to the station that Steve Harvey show was on, and it was just so Bullethead. It was show Bullethead and Romeo in front of the lockers, waiting for the next class, and it just them sometimes doing nonsense, maybe trying to miss class. They were always look like they were up to mischief as well. Even from what I heard, the way how you see them, Bullethead and Romeo, they're pretty much like brothers. Like, especially when you see them in this, they had a big relationship even outside of the series. They were pretty much brothers. Like, from what I heard from Will and Scott, who played Bullethead, that they were really like this. And Romeo Santana, he even knew Bullethead's wife. And what was the big problem was, as Bullethead even said, was that Romeo was a wild, wild guy. I believe he was. I talked about this. Excuse me. I talked about this when I talked about like Tales of the Hood, Tales from the Hood, of where the character who plays Crazy K, Jerome, the one who was in Moesha, he was like that stereotypical, like wild black, young black youth from the '90s. In some ways, I feel like Merlin Santana was that dude, like that character of Crazy K in Tales from the Hood. Merlin was that in reality as well. And you can check that you can check that Bullethead's interview on Comedy Hype, and he even said he wasn't surprised of what happened to, because for those who don't know, the actor who played Romeo, he he unfortunately passed away at such a young age, just from living too fast, associating himself with the wrong people, and he was just one bad moment, he was gone as well. So it's really sad because even when you see him in this, it's like it really looks like he was going to have like a promising career, because he had the look, he had the kind of like that attitude, he had the you could say charisma, but just again, wrong place, wrong time. uh, he ended up making a big mistake, and honestly, just his life got really cut short. But other than that, their scenes are great. I really, again, it's really cool. There's an episode. If you talk about like funny episodes, Lady Rage, big rapper from the '90s, she guest stars in. I believe this would have been the maybe season three, season four, and what happens is a bullet head actually saves her, I believe, from getting like run over, getting hit. So whatever. So Lady Rage is protecting bullet head for like the whole episode until like it changes to the end. But the whole time, she's with the bullet head. Lady Rage has a crush on Romeo, so she goes to kiss him. She was good to take him. So it's like the one white, one black, but it has this like brother connection. So kind of similar what I saw in that Bullet Train movie as well. So that was great as well for someone who like has a brother, and that they can definitely relate to that, or not even just brothers like blood. I'm talking about you got those friends who are like same age, and that you have those great connections. So I can relate to that relationship between Bullethead and Romeo. All right. So, and then the other characters you have Tracy Villar. I'm gonna check now. Tracy Villar. Tracy Villar. Ah, okay. Tracy Villar. She was in season one. So, if you remember that Puerto Rican black chick, the one who spoke faster, faster than me. I don't think it's that, but she did. But the Puerto Rican girl who was going out with Romeo. This one, I have to. Someone has to correct me if I'm wrong. Here it says she appeared for the first season. Tracy Villar. Yeah, Tracy Villar, born in New York, the Bronx, and yeah, she has like the Latina, and she appeared for season one. I know that was Romeo's girlfriend in the series. So, and the other one was Nefa Perry. Yeah, yeah, I remember these two. Let me just get a couple images there. Whoa, she's changed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Net for Perry. Right. So that was that. If you remember Net for Perry, it was that. It was that the girl, the black girl, that this kind of Erica Badu. type of look. She had the long dreads. She had like the ear pierce, the nose piercings, the ear piercings. I think she had the piercing on her eyebrow, but it was that soul chick. I remember there's an episode where she even gets with Romeo as well, but that part I don't remember as well because again, this is a series that I probably haven't really watched Steve Harvey shows since the original run. I've seen even before this. I've seen like funniest moments and great, like the relationship between like Regina and Steve, and of course Steve Harvey's like best moments in the show. So I watched this fully back. Sometimes I didn't remember, but from what I'm seeing here, it says like Tracy and Netfall were in the first season. So I'm gonna double check that again. But as far as I know, I didn't. I wasn't like the biggest fan like of I'm not saying both of them, just Tracy Dillon, like this the Puerto Rican. She was always going against Romeo. Like she always wanted to like verbally abuse him. She was like, I'm with him, I'm not with him, I love him, I don't love him, I don't love him. That so I never really saw her as the like a really fundamental character within the series as I saw Bullet Head and Romeo's relationship. Like I really preferred their on-screen chemistry rather than when Romeo had the girlfriend because Romeo in this is seen as a ladies' man, and I didn't think it was really necessary because again, how he is again is an extension of how his personality was in real life. Of he was like a gangster, he was a fraud. He's like, yeah, every woman should love me. I'm Romeo. I'm Romeo. So I don't think it really was necessary for him to have like a long, stable girlfriend and so on. And she, compared to like the other girls you will see it, and especially like the guest stars in this series, I don't think she was the most like baddest chick for Romeo and Tracy Billov's character as well. So, but I do think Nesta Perry was a better choice. I think that would have worked better with Romeo for more of a long term than her. But if we're going by what it says there, she was only for the first season. I'm like, okay, that's no problem. So, all right. So like those are the main episodes. As I said, like I mentioned like guest stars, like as on top of my head of guest stars, you had Lady Rage who appeared in the series. You had Megan Good, Little Bow Wow. I remember that episode. He appeared in it. Jerry Springer, who a lot of people who are 90s babies, such as myself, know how impactful that series was, and even like the WWF, who was involved in the Monday Night Wars, excuse me, who was involved in the Monday Night Wars of WCW, they took a lot of influence from the Jerry Springer show and that Crash TV concept. So Jerry Springer who appeared on this, he also appeared in Wayne's Brothers as well. So they had Ian, Brian McKnight, and also there's an episode which I'm very fond of, is when Buster Rhymes appears in this as well. And you really see, honestly, because I watched this back recently, Buster put a lot of size from how he appeared in this series because this would have been like almost 20, going on 20 plus years now, and you see just his physical change as well. He had like that bomb, bomb, yes, fire it up, fire it up, let's say fire it up. So Buster Rhymes was again super popular in that late 90s, early 2000s. He appears in this episode where I believe Steve has his date, and the date is that fine girl who was in that My Wife and Kids episode where Keenan Ivory Wayans guest stars. Here, remember her? She appears in this episode and makes Regina jealous, and then Buster Rhymes comes in and he ends up dating. He ends up being Regina's date for that. So that that episode is great. But yeah, the guest stars pretty much work like as you've seen like series such as Jamie Foxx show, such as Fresh Prince, such as Maureen. Sometimes they will pair and the episode can focus around on them, or they will pair and they'll just have so small scenes with the main, you could say, main protagonist of the series, like Lady Rage's appearance in that episode. So it works well. Again, there's no real one like big guest star episode. Maybe I would say the Jerry Springer one, but I think it works well. It's pretty much something that you've seen before with the series that was out at the same time as well. So this is another part I definitely want to say, and I was over. So you see, when we show like a lot of our sitcoms had these running gags that was very like predominant with this show. So like the first one that was very common was that, as it says here, there were a few recurrent gags throughout the series. For instance, Lavita and several relatives named after products or items. Her brother's name was Duracell. Her cousin's name was Kinko, Bruschetta, Klinke, and Kame as well. So those outlandish names that they Kinko that they named their like her family members. Her family had these like names, which is crazy because many times when Levita, because Levita in this, I talked about Romeo being the stereotypical version of that young black guy. Romeo could have been in Boys of the Hood, Minister Society, Tales from the Hood, the three ones who go into the funeral home. He could have been one of those actors. Levita, Terry J. Vaughan, she was that 90s sister, like Regina King from Poetic Justice, or who else we got? Maybe I was going to say Neil Lump from the Boys in the Hood, or I can not think of Regina King. I think she's the only one come, but someone like that, or even maybe not as good as like Paula J. Parker in Friday, but she had that vibe of that black girl, even her hairstyle, the way it's presented in that it was very due to the culture and the time. So I love that she brought that into the series. And when she was talking about like her family, they had this name. So it was bringing a lot of truth into the show, the way the streets and the way the culture was at that time as well. And yeah, and I think even going back to Steve, I think one of the if we go back even just like to the Steve like humor in this because it's even been debated. I talked about Bernie Mac's show and Steve in that Kings of Comedy great comedy. I finally got around to watch it. Bernie Mac was the only one at that time not to have his TV show or he's like leading that movie. But Steve Harvey had his show. Cedric was here, and Hugh the old uni, he had his series as well. So, um, from what I've heard, Steve Harvey, especially when he had this show, he was very cocky. Terry J. Vaughan even did an interview about this, saying like he was very cocky and arrogant in this. In some shape or form, you do see this in the series of Steve does. If he feels super confident in this series, and not so much confident because you can have confidence, you can have arrogance, but I think Steve in some way, shape or form, he feels like he's the Mac Daddy. Anytime he has these scenes with Virginia, he says, "Oh, it'll be a long time. It's gonna be a while to become the Big Daddy, Mac Daddy, the man as well." And then in his not real life, but in the series, he's actually roommates with Seth as well. So if he's such like a big papa and he's old dad, why is he roommates? Why is he teaching drum and art in a high school as well? So because as I said, in this synopsis that he was someone who was meant to be like a great musician. He was good, but he just didn't have it to make it to the top. So and it's very similar to the story in Tango Mr. Cooper, where Mark Harvey was like a failed basketball player who couldn't make it professional, and then he had to teach to high school students. So it has that similar vibe there. But that's the difference because when I see after seeing Ben Mention and seeing Steve Harvey, because it's very similar as well, like that. Papa Don't Take No Mess, that more of that mature comedian, very different to like Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock, respectively. But they have a lot of similarities between them two, wearing these like fine tailored suits, even the hairstyle as well, and even the height as well, but just different as well. Like Steve Harvey in this show, I see this movie just comes off very, very cocky. That's the only way I can describe him. But I think in episodes with said, because especially one thing I really love is especially in the first season, the first pilot episode, Steve was actually thinking of quitting. When he was in the school, he came in and he saw these crazy students from Bullethead, from Romeo, from Nesta Perry's character and Tracy Villar, and there's even later there's this like humongous a white girl. I believe she appeared in all that. If I can get her name, give me a second, folks. It is it's not Ariana Johnson. I think it's Laurie Beth. Yeah, Laurie Beth Danberg. I think Laurie Beth Danberg. Yeah, comedian and Jewish show. She appeared in the Nickelodeon series All That with Keenan and Kel. And I forgot to mention Keenan and Kel. They appeared guest starred in this series as well. So Steve in the first season, he's like, I don't want to do with these kids. I'm meant to be a star, and I'm teaching drama and music and art to these laws, these little kids as well. Seth actually talks with him and he tells him like, oh, things didn't work out for you, but don't give up. Honestly, this may be just like a temporary thing just to get yourself back to where you want to be. So there's times in this series which I really like, where Seth is really like kids. Seth is really like a person who really gives him those messages, gives him those like encouragement to say like even when because it really goes back and forth with the relationship between him and Regina, Steve and Regina, and says they're saying like, oh yes, you can go get your woman, fight for your woman. You see what like me and Lavia got, you can get that too. So it really encourages Steve as well to like stop playing these games all the time. If you really love her, go for her, and that's what he does. So all in all, this is Steve Harvey's show. This is not this is quite a difficult series for me to even review because honestly, I didn't have the time to really rewatch this again. And unlike the series you've seen me review before, like Wayne Brothers, like Bernie Mac, like Jamie Foxx show, I had seen this series extensively, even in UK, and then even when I moved to the West. I was already watching this series, like maybe not even the whole season, but I was seeing a lot of the a lot of the episodes from there, and then even after on YouTube. Whereas Steve Harvey's show, there was a long time away. I took a big break from it, but I always knew Steve and I always loved Seth, so it was pretty much easy. But what, as I said, what I love with this series, I think the biggest takeaway you can take from Steve Harvey's show is what led on after. Like they just like Jamie Foxx, they really benefit from this exposure on television network. And as I said, like we're set because I mentioned and said just shortly after this, he was doing voice work. He's in Pool. His performance in Eddie in the Barbershop series amazing. And Johnson Family Vacation, which actually reunites both of them, Steve and said playing quite different characters from how they are in the series. But I love that movie as well. So it was nice seeing Sid becoming like a movie star, and he was becoming like a leading movie actor in his movies. And then Steve Harvey, who just became this guy who was just everywhere. He was like becoming not even the ultimate hustler. He was the emperor hustler. He was like at the Miss Universe concert, the Miss Universe competitions, announcing the wrong winner and whatever. But he was there. He had his own daytime talk show. He was doing game shows. It's like he became like this. He was writing books. Even the movie with Kevin Hart, Think Like a Man. That was his book and his concept of like how relationships are working in this era, which was like the 2010s as well. So Steve Harvey just became more of a like a public figure. He was already like this like, comedian, black comedian, but became like this bigger the figure. Like he was like you couldn't even say he became like even more of like an international in some way star, and it wasn't like a movie. That's the best thing. He wasn't like a movie side. It was more of like where you saw him in the realm of entertainment. So I just love how these a lot benefited him. With that being said, it would have been nice if I saw more of the leading ladies as well. So Wendy Raquel Robinson. After this, I don't remember seeing her too much. If you do cast your mind back, she was in A Thin Line Between Love and Hate with Martin, but she wasn't the main actress in that. Like Lynn Whitfield stole the show in that movie. and even like Terry Vaughan. After this series, I don't remember seeing her too much. If you all saw her, definitely leave some comments down. But it would have been nice to have, if not seen them in like maybe sitcoms that progress at this point, more movie roles as well because they're great actresses. Honestly, from the first season to this season, there's a lot of like the comedy really works and the humor works between the two characters. The jealousy Steve has when he sees Regina dating another woman, or and vice versa when Steve dates a fine. Because there's many fine black girls, many fine sisters that come in the series, and equally Regina gets jealous. So I really love that humor that's presented in this series. So yeah, but that being said, Steve Harvey show. If I had to give this a ranking, because again, as I said, more of the success that happened after this series, and even just it went on more than 5 seasons. But if we're just speaking on the series, just in general, oh man, I would give Steve Harvey show like a 3.75 out of 5. I will say this: I don't think the Steve Harvey show has as much rewatchability and you would go back to it as much as the other sitcoms, like more in like Jamie Foxx show, like Wayne Brothers, even Hanging Mr. Cooper. Like I think the first season is gold, and I would even rather watch that than watch the 6 seasons as well because um. It is for the advantages of the main 4 characters. There's sometimes where it's like you just want to see a bit more of them. There are times when it shows the other characters in the school. As I said, Bullethead and Romeo, I don't mind, but it's when the other characters, like when they got that ginormous whale white girl who has episodes of her, and it's like the Puerto Rican girl, and if the period's okay, but there's a lot of like other characters who are in there, and it's like some of the episodes I don't really get, and even just the tempo, I feel like there was more of a slow pace of the Steve Harvey show compared to the other greater sitcoms as well. So I think it's a very decent, borderline good series. Nowhere near the level of like Fresh Prince or Morton because Fresh Prince and Morton they had this like vibrance. There was this vibrance. Like it always felt like it was must-watch television when I would see the series. This doesn't have it. It's like if you watched an episode, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Steve Harvey's on. Okay, I can probably spend 20 minutes and watch this. But after that, you're not really like, oh, you don't really have that remembrance how this episode is. And even when I'm even telling you folks there about like my memories of the Steve Harvey show, if I was to talk about Fresh Prince Morning or even Jamie Foxx show, I can tell like full detailed episodes of that because I just have that. There was just some more electricity with those episodes opposed to this series. Well, other than that, teacher, I'm sure there's other people who feel different about this series than I do, but that's the great thing. Everyone has their own opinions. Yeah. So let me get some water. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, folks, I'm giving Steve Harvey's show 3.75 out of 5. I think a solid series, solid, not the best, but a solid series. It has its humor, it has its moments again dealing with relationships and dealing with like you went after your dreams and it didn't happen, so I'm gonna substitute. I'm gonna do this for the time being. So that's really works well. So who I would recommend this series for if anyone who really likes, because I believe this is the close comparison to it, if anyone really likes the Anchor Mr. Cooper series, they definitely would love this series. Other than that, I think if you're a fan, of course, if you're a fan of Steve Harvey, from where he's gone to now, and you want to see said and that like relationship, this friendship that they've had all these years, this is a good series for to watch. And I think as well, people are fan of like kind of that soul and jazz music that was very predominant in the 70s and 80s. I can definitely say you would enjoy the show from that as well. But that being said, anyone who has watched the Steve Harvey show, who grew up with it, just like I did, please leave your comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this series. Let me know what you think of Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer, how their careers blossomed since this series that came out in 1986, run for 6 seasons to 2002. And yes, guys, definitely, as I said, follow me on my social media. All my links will be there. You can do me a favor as well, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And yes, happy Friday. Stay tuned for the next retrospective review. I want to tackle as much of these past series as I can. I'm going to see the ones that I remember growing up with that were shown on BAT on Trouble back in UK. And yeah, I'm going to keep this ball rolling. So yes, so definitely stay tuned for the next one, which will be coming very, very soon. Feliz Viernes and hasta luego. Ciao. Español, baby.